afternoon, and welcome to the Cloud Native Coffee Hour. My name is Dan McCracken, and I'm here with my co-host and good friend, Dan Makita. Say hello, Dan.
Hello, everyone. How are you today? Are we doing an ASMR kind of chat?
I don't know, but you did a great job at one.
I thought you kicked it off. I thought we were talking all, sultry and quiet.
Well, my voice isn't all what it's normally cracked up to be, I guess. I'm feeling better, but oh man, it probably sounds a little terrible. Not that I sound great to begin with. That's why people come here for my soothing ASMR voice.
Well, I mean, I'm sure you were like talking a lot yesterday and yelling a lot. You had a big day yesterday.
I did have a big day yesterday. There was some hooting and hollering, but we took care of it.
So what are we doing today, Dan?
Well, I was going to ask you the same question. So what we've been talking about to catch everybody up, and we had our new 1-minute intro that's all automated. Thank you to Talk Studio Streamlabs. And we've been talking about, well, what content do we want to make on this channel? What do we want to do as like our next little project? We like to do stuff. Last week was very interesting. We like to do stuff that's useful to you and especially useful to us. We like to get more out of it than just do a tutorial or come up with a bunch of stuff to show. Kind of like to make it useful. So what we were talking about was maybe coming up with some content. Number one, maybe coming up with some content and maybe attacking the Raspberry Pi cluster that has died and is now a derelict spacecraft housing aliens in the back room. Because of much hype of AI in the world lately, and something you've been going to talks about and being exposed to and using extensively, kind of learning, we're like, hey, let's just blend those two things together. And so I think we'll see where it goes. We'll see where the conversation with chat goes. And I think overall, we know we have a Raspberry Pi cluster that is basically dead. That's kind of a blank canvas for us to experiment with again, whether it's another large cluster or not.
Before you keep going, you keep using the term the Raspberry Pi cluster is dead, and I kind of want you to extrapolate upon that, because I would say it ran really well for a long time. So why is it dead? What happened?
It did run very well for a long time, and it turns out that hardware has a life cycle. Number one, hardware has a life cycle. Number two, Kubernetes and etcd are pretty rough on an SD card in the grand scheme of things. It does a lot of read-write, which we knew, and we had replaced a couple. And we need to replace a couple more. And a couple of the controllers died. And now we're left with one controller that's not really doing its job. So the cluster is a little bit dead in terms of being.
And from a Kubernetes administrative perspective, right? We're on one controller. Obviously, we shouldn't be. If this was a production cluster, you want to take care of it, right? You want to replace those and all that kind of stuff. But we have hence moved all of our production workloads to a cloud. We've moved them to Google Cloud. Our main work center is now GKE. So we kind of graduated or moved on in a sense from our Raspberry Pi space.
From the lab. Yeah.
From the lab, which is why we didn't take care of it. We were just like, nothing's there, nothing's running. So one day we're just like, let's just shut it down.
It just decided to go to sleep. Yeah. That's exactly right. Like it served its purposes, and now we're going to repurpose it, I think, is kind of what this conversation could be. And there are so many ways we could do that. I think that's what people in the chat, I think we're open to suggestions. We have, if we were to take an inventory, we have, I think, 14 or 15 Pis. We're using 2 for load balancers, crying out loud. So we have quite a bit of possibility.
I agree. Some ideas that I had Well, first of all, I like the chat GPT idea. I think it would just make it kind of fun instead of us just kind of like doing the same old thing. I would love to see how far just having chat GPT figure it out can take us. So basically, we were thinking that we would tell ChatGPT what we want to do, which that's what we'll talk about next, and we would be its hands basically. So we won't wait for it to say like, pull out the SD card, install SD card. We won't do that, but I mean, telling us what scripts to run, how to set up Kubernetes, all that kind of stuff. So let's go. Yeah. I think we would just try to run its scripts. And obviously they aren't always right. So if it fails to get the correct script, we'll probably have to, massage it a little bit. But that was kind of the idea. So
I like that.
With that, some of the ideas I had, and I like your idea of getting chat involved if there's enough people here. So I'm reflecting a little bit on our YouTube content from the last couple of years. And, we stopped streaming. We've talked about that, and we're starting to back up again. But we continue to get comments on our videos. And the ones that seem the most interesting, besides Vim Adventures, which for some reason is the most popular video we ever did, is usually around the Raspberry Pi stuff. People are usually pretty interested in running Kubernetes on Raspberry Pis. So we have done videos, I believe, I don't know actually. I don't know if we ever did a video on kubeadm vanilla Kubernetes on a Raspberry Pi.
Probably not.
Okay. So that is, I guess since we didn't do that, but we used to run vanilla Kubernetes on the Raspberry Pis. And then we moved to Rancher's K3S. And that's, I think, we definitely made lots of videos on that.
Yep.
And we actually wrote Ansible modules for that. And that's been kind of our history. Now, some things I've been interested in doing is I'm a big Red Hat OpenShift guy. I don't know. I like it. I use it. Advocate. I mean, I like all forms of Kubernetes. Like, we love Rancher. We use Rancher. Use vanilla Kubernetes. Love it. GKE, EKS. Any of them, all of them. I have at a few enterprises used OpenShift. It's a great tool. It's expensive, but they did a really good job. They basically took all these open source tools and made it just very usable for people. And they recently have come out with Microshift. Yeah, Microshift. That runs on ARM. It was designed for the edge. And I don't know how far along it is. I've never played with it. I've been too busy to do that as a pet project. So as an opportunity, we could do that. Otherwise, I am curious. I guess alternatively, it would be vanilla Kubernetes again. But it's been, 6 years? 5-6 years since we did vanilla Kubernetes on ARM. So it'd be really interesting to see what's changed there. Those are my two ideas. What do you got?
No, that's exactly what I was hoping to do. So I mean, honestly, we should give chat the background, a little bit of the background, and then be like, hey, what should we do? It could be something we try, and then we can guide it if we want, but it might be interesting just to see what it would suggest. I have no idea.
Okay, so let's change something here. Mm-hmm. You keep calling GPT chat, and I keep thinking when you say that you're referring to
the chat.
The chat.
I don't know. Yeah. What's the short version of Chat GPT? I call it chat, and then obviously there's chat here.
I call it GPT.
Just GPT.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was short chat for short, because GPT is like some technical BS behind it that's a little more broad, but it's the chat version of blah blah blah. I don't know.
I got really confused the other day because I was looking at using Zapier to hook up a couple things, and apparently there's an entire thing called Custom GPT, which I've never heard of. And it's customgpt.com, and it's like a full-blown thing. And I just kept writing, I need a custom GPT because, when you go to ChatGPT, you can create your own custom GPTs. So I kept writing custom GPT, and it thought I was referring to this product called custom GPT, and I was so confused.
Yeesh.
Okay, so when you say, so you want to talk to chat and ask chat what it thinks we should do. I like it. Let's do it. All right, I got ChatGPT up. I've been a Plus subscriber since not day one, but pretty damn close. And it's been changing a lot in the last few days. Kind of crazy. Really liking the enhancements. Actually, just this morning or yesterday, I got notified of this new feature where you can actually connect your Google Drive to it, which I thought was kind of interesting. Now, I don't know if that's connecting your whole drive to it so it can reference your whole drive, or if it's just so you can select a file from Google Drive, which is what I am expecting it to be.
Okay.
But let's start here. So I'm not going to be super verbose with a prompt. I'm just going to take what I get. I'm not going to prompt engineer this, I don't think. And I'm going to be very friendly. Hey, we are. I like to talk to ChatGPT like it's a person. I even say thank you and things like that.
You should be very kind to it.
I don't know. It just feels natural for me. So, hey, we are trying. We are doing a live stream right now. We should turn on the flirty voice. Hey, we're doing a live stream right now. Called. We're just going to do this out. Called the Cloud Native Coffee Hour. Today's stream is about repurposing an old. I don't want to say dead. I feel like that's decommissioned. That's better. Raspberry Pi 4 Kubernetes cluster. We have, 14 Pis with PoE hats and all the networking equipment needed as part of this stream. We wanted to work with you to recreate this cluster. All of our scripts are, let's go 5 years old, and we want to do a complete refresh from scratch. All right. Some ideas we had were, well, hold on. The original form of this cluster was using Rancher K3S. We don't want to use that again. Some ideas we had were to use Red Hat's MicroShift, or potentially just doing kubeadm vanilla Kubernetes. We are open to any automation you suggest. We have previously used Ansible and Terraform, but I'm open to using anything. Open to learning something new if you think that is best. We are also open to other Kubernetes distributions if you think that would be more interesting. What do you think?
And then just say something, maybe let's say something about our audience and the level that we are trying to, I think it's perfect.
Our live streams audience's experience is, what do you want to aim it at? I mean, I think we get people from all sorts of experience levels. So what do you want to frame it around?
I think we do get people of all sorts, and there's somebody in the chat now that's not telling us what their experience level is, except for two bald head guys. Greetings. But I feel like some of the most approachable content on YouTube is geared toward intro. I mean, intro to Kubernetes means that you've like done a lot of, you kind of have to like have a lot.
You're kind of already a Linux admin.
You're kind of like, you're there, or you're getting there. So I feel like that's probably the sweet spot where it's like our experience. We want to gear it toward people that are trying to learn more about Kubernetes.
All right. Well, I like phrasing that. We want to gear this stream content towards people that are new to Kubernetes, but looking for a, I don't know, creative way to learn.
Yeah. So I think, when we first spun up the lab and we're installing it the hard way and we're just doing stuff, that was, like we talk about it all the time, that was great. That was a great learning experience. And I think people really resonate with that. And I think that's why those videos do well. So that
I agree.
Great.
We like this.
Send it.
Oh, no. All right. That sounds like a fantastic stream. Should I read it in the Scarlett Johansson voice?
No. No, I don't want to get copy struck or whatever on YouTube today.
That sounds like a fantastic stream. Here's a step-by-step plan to repurpose your Raspberry Pi 4 cluster with a focus on making it engaging and educational for your audience.
Okay.
All right. Let's see what it recommends. Cluster setup. Prepare the Raspberry Pi 4s. Flash it. Flash the latest Raspberry Pi OS. Okay.
Interesting.
So it wants us to use Raspberry Pi OS. Enable SSH. Okay. Connect the Pis to your network using the PoE heads. Great. So, okay.
Huh.
Interesting first start. I mean, we've always used Ubuntu in the past. We found that was the easiest operating system for running Kubernetes. But let's keep going. It's been 5 years. And there was a lot of little things we had to do in Ubuntu land. Okay, initial configuration. Boot up each Raspberry Pi and perform basic configuration. Okay, apt-get, apt-upgrade, great. Raspi config. Okay, this is new. I mean, yeah, okay. Set the host name, enable SSH, and expand the file system.
Right.
Okay. I would have expected it to be more verbose with this line, but we'll work with it. We're going to work with it. Install Docker. Use the official Docker installation script. Interesting.
Okay.
We just did an apt update and an apt upgrade, but it wants us to install Docker from a curl.
Okay.
Install kubeadm, kubelet, kubectl. Option 1. Oh. Okay. So option 1 is kubeadm. We do the curl, get the new apt keys. It's normal. And then we install those using apt, which is great. Install the cluster, initialize the cluster. Okay, so we're doing a kubeadm init, giving it a pod cider. Great. Making a .cube directory, copying the admin conf to that, changing the owner. Okay. Install a pod network. It chose Weave. Is that still around?
Yeah, I think so.
I thought they sold. I could be wrong. Join worker nodes. Run the join command provided by kubeadm init on each worker node. Did it say up here to... So right here it says install kubeadm, kubelet, and all that. It doesn't say where to install it. So it probably just means install this on all of them. I mean, it does. It just didn't say that. Because here it says on the master node run the init. Okay. Okay. So that's all it says here, and that matches more or less our old install document that we have. I brought that up. I sent it to you earlier. So that actually almost matches exactly, except for all of the little things we had to do for Ubuntu just to enable virtualization with Docker and all that. So this one sounds simpler. I know Raspi is a lot lighter weight than Ubuntu, so I mean, I'd be interested to see what the performance is. We switched from vanilla Kubernetes to K3S because we could tell it was very heavy and it was chewing up the memory very quickly before. So again, I'd be curious to see how much more performant it is 5 years later. Option 2, Red Hat Microshift. Install Microshift. Follow the installation guide. Okay. Sudo DNF. Sudo systemctl enable -- now Microshift. Configure nodes. Similar to kubeadm, ensure the master node and worker nodes are correctly set up. Okay, so it where we would have to dig into this or work with ChatGPT to dig into it itself, because that's not super helpful. Step 3. Oh. What was step 2? Choosing the distribution. Okay, so step 1 was just installing the base operating system. Step 2, install the distribution. Step 3, automate it all with Ansible and Terraform. I told it I wanted it to be creative. It's just basically taking what I said and demonstration and learning, interactive tutorials. Walk through each step interactively with your audience, explaining the purpose and function. Hands-on labs, QA session, example playbook for Ansible. Just so you know, we are doing this live and showing your feedback. Say hello. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Cloud Native Coffee Hour. I'm excited to be a part of this live stream and help you repurpose your Raspberry Pi 4 Kubernetes cluster. Let's dive into this project and make it an engaging learning experience for everyone new to Kubernetes. Feel free to ask questions along the way, and let's have some fun.
That's very interesting. So what part sticks out to you the most as being like the surprising part? Or what questions do you have? What are the first questions that you have when looking at their suggestion?
I think the biggest question I have, because I know, well, let's ignore Microshift because it gave like absolutely nothing on that other than a link. Vanilla stuff, this looks all right to me. I don't like the weave option personally. I'd rather do like something else.
Anything else.
But this part looks 100% right. I'm fine with that. The interesting part is actually this. The Raspberry Pi OS Lite.
Let's ask it about that choice versus Ubuntu.
Okay, I like it.
Because I had the same question.
I also kind of want to export our document as a PDF and upload it and see what it thinks. Actually, I might just be able to attach on.
It is going to show everything.
Okay. Well, we'll bring that up in a sec. Let's see. So you wanted to first ask the question. Hey. Okay. So
We see you chose.
you recommended us to use the base OS of Raspberry Pi OS Lite. In our experience, we've always found Ubuntu 20.04 to be the most, let's go with compatible. Compat. Help.
I. Compatible. Yeah. Compatible.
OS for running. Okay, it's on a Pi. But it has been 5 years. I mean, 20.04 is real old now. Since we did this, and was curious about why you chose what you did.
Yeah, and tell it we've never used it.
We've never used before.
I'm just not familiar with the Raspberry Pi OS Lite.
I'm familiar with the OS. I mean, they released it with the first Raspberry Pi, and they, keep updating it, and it's optimized for that hardware. Just like iOS is optimized for Apple's hardware. I mean, so it's great. It's perfect if that's what you're trying to do. I'm guessing the Lite version is a version that doesn't have like the UI or anything baked in, so it's just a much lighter version. Be my guess for tasks. I'm just hitting her. I kind of want to give it, all the little things that we had to do before.
Yeah, let's see what it says here.
They're both great question. They're both excellent choices for running Kubernetes on the Raspberry Pi, but there are some differences that may influence the decision. Pros for the Raspberry Pi Lite: optimized for Pi hardware. It's lightweight, has minimal OS. It uses fewer resources. There's strong community support. Cons: there's less familiarity if you're more accustomed to Ubuntu. Okay, that's not really a con. Ubuntu. Pros: familiarity. Compatibility. Has excellent compatibility with Kubernetes. Is widely used. LTS support. Long-term support means you'll receive updates. I mean, this is a lab. We don't really care. Cons: it's a heavier OS, which impacts performance on limited hardware. So that might offset some problems that we ran into in the past.
Yeah, maybe.
Recommendation: given you're familiar with Ubuntu and its proven compatibility on the Raspberry Pi, sticking with Ubuntu might be the best choice. However, if you're interested in exploring Raspberry Pi Lite OS, for its lightweight nature and specific optimizations, it could be worthwhile experiment.
Cool.
Especially for education.
Yeah.
Ooh. Well, no, I think. See, they're not doing anything here either. What is the stuff I'm referring to? Let me just ask directly.
I've got the notes up right here. I've been taking a peek at it.
Yeah, we had to do mod probe and
So-
BR net filter. Okay, here's what I'm gonna say. I'm thinking I say something like, we would love to try using boom. The concerns we have are around some tweaks we had to make when using Ubuntu. Specifically, specifically I'm just going to grab some of this stuff.
Okay. That's C group enable. C group stuff. That was big
C
for
group.
containerization.
Yes, I think I see it. Hold on. We needed to do this. I'm just going to copy it all in here. And we needed to do this. Whoops. And there's going to be a few of these, so I'm not going to say and this every time. The BR net filter and the overlay stuff. And then we had to mod probe those things. Remember all this?
Yes, I do.
Oh, man. And then we'll just put this last CTL thing in here.
Okay. So looks like it's just like, yeah, cool, do that. I think we wanted to know why, or if it thinks we will need to do those things for Raspberry Pi.
Yeah. We were actually asking if we still needed to make those adjustments using Raspberry Pi OS Lite. Got it. Let's evaluate whether those adjustments are still necessary. Beautiful. Okay. Docker configuration. The configuration of Docker is mostly universal across Linux distributions. Setting the C group driver to systemd and configuring log options are still relevant. Yes, you should still apply this adjustment.
Okay.
Kernel parameters. Modify kernel parameters. These settings are necessary to ensure Kubernetes can properly manage C groups in memory to enable swap accounting. Yes, you should still apply this adjustment. Okay. Load kernel modules. The overlay module is needed for Docker's storage driver, and BR net filters is required for Kubernetes networking. Yes, you should still load these modules. Yes, you should still adjust this.
All
yes. Right. Okay. To ensure. Okay. Well, I kind of just want to be a jerk here.
Here's what we do. We have to give Sam something to clip this by, and we just have to we have to give it the old thumbs down, like chat. Like I'm gonna do the thing. Chat. Really? This is the best you get. We told you the answer. It
didn't you tell me to do these things in your original instructions? I apologize for the oversight. Let's go through the complete and corrected instructions. I thought this was 4.0. Come on. 4.0 is supposed to be the most intelligent version of ChatGPT yet.
I mean, on the other hand, I guess we still have a job. People still have a job to need to know how to install this for a while longer.
Boot it up.
The Docker
upgrade
curl, that's the Docker from curl script might actually do apt. Who knows? We have to go look at that.
Apply the Docker configuration. Modify the kernel parameters. Load the necessary kernel modules.
Yeah.
Configure systemctl for Kubernetes. enable a Docker service, then install the stuff. Okay, now it just matches our old notes.
All right. Because that's what we gave it. So we'd have to start if we started a brand new one and then asked it, hey, give me the step-by-step for what I'll need to do to set it up. If it came up with something like this, then it would be nice. Now, it's kind of interesting because we don't even know if this will work on this Raspberry Pi Lite. I assume it likely will because it's all Ubuntu, or it's not all Ubuntu, it's all Linux, and Linux subsystem's a Linux subsystem. We shall see. I'm intrigued. I actually want to try the Raspberry Pi OS. I think that's
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too. I'm curious. I guess some of the things that go through my head. I know some OSs have this, like Red Hat's OS, especially the Core OS version of Red Hat's OS has a the term for it is escaping me right now, so don't roast me on this. But basically what it is, it's like a file directory where you can drop some instructions, and on startup, the OS looks to this directory for like provisioning instructions.
Uh-huh.
And the reason I bring it up is I wonder if the Raspberry Pi has something like that, because up here, step 1 was place an empty file named SSH in the boot partition.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do that, it auto enables SSH.
It's Cloud Init. Is that what you're trying to remember?
Yeah, like the Cloud Init from the Ubuntu stuff. I think about like all of this stuff here. I mean, we're just sudo mod probe. We're just editing the modules file. Like all this stuff, I feel like could be in a init config of some kind.
I'll ask it if one exists for this.
Is there a init config for Raspberry Pi Lite where we can drop all of the OS configuration? Yes. You can use the Cloud Init configuration to automate the setup process for the Raspberry Pi OS Lite. Cloud Init is a tool for initializing cloud instances and can also be used for automating the initial configuration of the Raspberry Pi devices. First, you need to install Cloud Init. Create a Cloud Init configuration file.
Chicken and the
which
egg.
It basically did for us. I mean,
it probably already has that. The base OS probably has that installed. We could test this out. This is cool. I would love to do this because we basically do a lot of this in our Ansible. You're trying to move it. We talk about moving complexity. Just move the complexity up into a place that is the stuff we don't necessarily care about. It's just vanilla. Do the thing, please, every time.
Yeah, I feel like, I like Ansible. It was fun to use, but God, it would be nice if, all this stuff is just normal stuff. It's even, what it wrote here even installs all of the kubelet stuff. Like, everything's here. So that means the only thing that has to be run is the kube ADM init and then attaching the workers.
Right. We have to the controllers and the workers.
Right. And that's where I feel like that's where we could use Ansible.
I love this because I've never delved into a Cloud Init. I'm familiar with it ish, but never wrote one. And this is cool. So Raspberry, if I was to sum up a little bit, maybe of our next steps, or at least where we might, with the intrigue that was generated here today, if I was to summarize at least my feeling about it, using Raspberry Pi OS Lite and trying to automate some of the base setup with a Cloud Init script. See, basically. Wait, did it say that setup is run on first boot or something?
It's saying an alternative to using Cloud Init would just be writing a bash script,
Okay.
basically, which obviously, because then they say create a system D service to run it on first boot. Boot setup.sh.
Yeah. And this is where, where we get into the, I think Sam might have done this. I don't know if you did this, but I haven't messed with the taking snapshot images of disks and then using those as like the golden, you stamp those on, kind of like just running this one time, taking the snapshot and then mirroring that on all the other SD cards, kind of like a cloud. Go figure.
Right.
And I think we always ran into like architecture stuff, like low level stuff, to try to, when we were trying to be the hypervisor, a laptop hypervisor situation for hardware. But I think there's something here. I love doing the Cloud Init bit.
Me too.
I've never messed with that.
Because I feel like we could. I don't want to necessarily over optimize this because we're trying to make this something that, taking a step back, we're trying to kind of do 2.0 DevsOperative Kubernetes 101 learning thing, right? Like it would even be cool to type this up, create a PDF, put it on our website, right? People can download it for free.
Yep.
Okay. So I don't want to go too far. So where I was going was that like we could create a custom image that has Cloud Init already installed, right? Or even has all of this already installed, and then it's just you just load it up. I kind of want it to be more learning than that. So
correct. Yep. We want hands-on keyboard experience, and yes, you can automate everything. Especially for a business you want to, but this is meant for learning, and
right.
We try to find the balance. Right.
So I'm thinking we don't automate it. I think we use tmux. We do synchronized panes in tmux, and we just load up all the cards. We run these commands here. We'll create the Cloud Init configuration file. Restart all the pies, and then they all should just auto provision themselves.
Yeah.
And then,
yep.
Yeah.
That's cool. So I think step one is flash the cards, get the cluster down, flash the cards, or at least start. I have one. Well, we could just take one down and kind of experiment on the one before we do it to 12. Or whatever.
But yeah, we can just do 2 to start, 1 master, 1 worker, and make sure it's all Gucci.
Because we'll make sure that debug this Cloud Init that we write, or that supposedly is already written. We'll see if it works. See if we can get Kubernetes running on those 2, and then tmux it, go hard. That's kind of interesting. Cool.
I think this is fine. The only part that I wonder if we should automate or not is the last part, which is, hey, here's the master, init the master, and then init the workers, and then join them and all that.
Mm-hmm.
We wrote the Ansible to do that today.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of like, it creates the masters, waits for those, and then goes and creates the workers and joins it all and all that. So I kind of almost want to keep this a learning thing and not automate that step. Maybe just stop at manually SSHing to those and running the commands, and then you're done.
Yep, and that gives us a lot of breathing room we can automate that in the future once we're ready to, if we feel that that's a work center we want to stick with. We're just going to try this out. This might not work. It might not work very well. Who knows?
True. Okay. So today's stream though is not. Today's stream is literally just creating the plan, because in order to do this, we have to be in our office where the data center is, or at least set up a camera. One of us has to be there.
Yeah, we might do a dual. We might do the dual cam. Maybe we can show some of the imaging. Maybe, I don't know. We can think about what to do, or how we want to show that to the people. But I like.
Do we, in terms of like prep for, I guess, next Wednesday when we would do this, or when we would start doing this, how we doing on extra SD cards? Do we need to order some more?
We have enough of the old 32s, so I upgraded everything to 64s.
Okay.
But we have plenty of 32s to mess with that are in working order. But we will likely need to order some more once we're ready for prime time. That is on my radar. Yeah. I should check the price before everybody else runs out and buys them all. Checking prices.
While you're doing
about
that, Raspberry Pi, are they?
Yeah.
That's right. Okay. No, it's been a while. We started this when the Raspberry Pi 4 just came out, and there is a Raspberry Pi 5. So, unfortunately for our audience, we are not going to go and buy a whole bunch of Raspberry Pi 5s for this project. Let me see. Buy now. Plus, we'd have to buy all new hats and all that. That's right. You always have to buy Raspberry Pis from other places. Let's check out Konakit. They are, for just the board, $80.
Okay.
Each.
That's okay. So that's not with the kit. Wow, I thought that the RPi 4s were going for like 180 or something.
They did, but I bought all of mine at MSRP. So all of ours were bought for like $75
right
each, and we have like 14 of them now. So
in 2021, 2022, the price just like went nutty on them.
It did. They were super rare for a while,
and now they're back in stock.
These are in stock. Yep, and you can get 4 GB or 8 GB. I don't think there's really a benefit to doing it though. I mean, it has a 2.4 gigahertz quad core 64-bit. I don't know my processors, especially in the ARM space. So is that a big improvement over the 4?
I don't know. Yeah, maybe there's some generational improvement. Is that the main thing? Who knows?
Yeah, it looks exactly the same.
Perfect. No, I think this is good. I think this is a good place to stop. And we've kind of got our marching orders. Thank you to ChatGPT today for telling us what we kind of already knew. But here's what it did do is expose us to maybe trying Raspberry Pi OS, and we'll go down this road and explore to see if that was a good idea. Maybe mess around with this.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the performance, because the performance was not good previously
for CubeADM.
For CubeADM, yes, but that was on like full blown Ubuntu. Like, it wasn't a light version of Ubuntu. It was the full dog. So I'm excited to try this light Raspberry Pi OS, and we'll make the changes and deploy vanilla Kubernetes. It'll be great.
All right.
I would almost say, I know we're wrapping up the stream. I'm just thinking a little bit about what we want to do. It's fun having a big cluster, lots of nodes. That's fun, because now you're when you look at your K9s, or you do like a Git nodes, you see all these nodes and you like have a lot of stuff to manage. But gosh, it would be really cool to have like 3 clusters of like 4 nodes. We have enough pies to have 3 4-node clusters. and then you can kind of experiment and like do different things in each cluster.
Yep.
I don't know.
And we could set up the load balancers to handle all that. That's not going to be too big a deal. We just need to pick some different port ranges.
And I think we just keep it to a one master node cluster. I don't think we do HA or anything. I just think we keep it super simple. These are just lab environments. They don't need to be highly available or anything.
Cool.
Yeah, I like it. It'll be fun.
Great. Well, thank
so
you.
Next week.
Next week, I may have an announcement next week for some other cloud native endeavor that I am embarking upon, which will be mainly for the week following. Next week, we can get into it if you think we'll be ready. There's a holiday here in the United States, so it's going to be a short week.
What holiday is that?
The holiday is Memorial Day.
Holy crap. Okay. That came up quick, man.
Right around other holidays in your life, which in mine. Anyway, so we'll see. We'll have if we can't get everything around for doing that content, I've got some other things that we could talk about as more of a lightweight stream while we get prepped on this next endeavor if we need it. So I think we've got a couple options, but I like this track. I'm excited to learn Raspberry Pi OS, see what we can see. We'll have an opinion, so that'll be nice. But thank you very much for driving today. I thought that was great and interesting. ChatGPT is very useful, and we'll see how good a Kubernetes administrator it is.
I mean, I would love to do it again if we actually prepped a prompt for it, to make it a Kubernetes expert before we asked it all these questions.
I feel like it should be smart enough to be like, oh, the context is blah, so I should be smart and not dumb.
It's yeah. I mean, the servers that power the large language model are kind of specialized. So by giving it a prompt, it kind of it puts your queries on the right servers, more or less.
Interesting.
It's what I've heard.
It's a good visualization.
But
excellent. Anything else?
I'm all set, man. It's a great Wednesday. It's beautiful outside, so I hope everybody gets a chance to enjoy it. And we will see you next week.
Have a great time walking the dog, everybody. We'll see you next week on the Cloud Native Coffee Hour.
Bye.
Bye-bye.